Welcome to Center of Light, color. Center of Light online radio, color. We're going to get into some color. We're going to get deep into some color. Center of Light tonight, we're speaking about freedom, which equals fearlessness. Have you ever thought about that? Freedom and fearlessness with the same coin, two different sides. Freedom may not look like what we think. It is, in fact, beyond what we can think. Until we get beyond what we think into a place of no thought, we will not have achieved true liberation. Let's say liberation is in the spiritual context. God, freedom, or liberation rather. Liberation from all confines of everything. But tonight's going to be more from a human level. Freedom. What is it? We have an idea of it. We think because we live in America, if that's where you are, for the sake of this presentation, or any said country, you think you are free. You may have freedoms that others don't. No one is free until we're all free, until we're all out of the matrix. Tonight is Center of Light Uprising. And I don't mean rising up against the man or against the machine. It does include that. But you will have no power rising up against the man or the machine until you understand and come to a level of what you really mean, understanding what freedom is. It's an uprising within the self. An uprising, a standing up for something. You can be in a wheelchair and stand up for something. You feel that? You can be in a wheelchair and able to stand up for something. I want to say hello to everyone. Hello, Marina Govier. Hello, Trisha, Wendy, Heather, Rena on YouTube. Let's see what's happening on YouTube so I can acknowledge everyone. Kelly Curtis, Kelly Bauman. Hello, ladies. Dana Trotter. So tonight is Center of Light Uprising. Freedom equals fearlessness. And if you've been watching my presentations more so recently, thank you. I'm here to learn from you as well. You would know that I found a new spiritual teacher. New, not one better than the other, like I'm pushing others aside. Just another one to add to my divine cake. Angel food cake. My new teacher is Shunyamurti. He is truly a light. And we're going to watch and hear him tonight again in his beautiful divine ambiance, his graceful ambiance. And he's going to be speaking about freedom in a few different contexts, a few different ways. I woke up this morning, I did wake up this morning, I wouldn't be here. After I ran to the store sometime mid-afternoon, my son's going to be going back to his mom's. I'm going to do a presentation tonight. I love what I do. And I hear freedom. I said, well, I've done one on freedom already, I think. I said, let me do one on freedom. So I did some Shunyamurti research. First one I came to. And it's titled Full Empowerment, something, something, something. My screen only allows a few words. Full empowerment. Well, if we were all fully empowered, we would be living not only in freedom, we would be in our divine birthright of liberation. So freedom may not be what we think, because if it was in our grasp to understand what it is fully, we would already have achieved it. Center of Light Uprising. The rising phoenix within us. The rising of the kundalini up the backbone, up the spine. Reaches the top of the head, the crown chakra. And your life, your body, the universe explodes in light. Hey, George, another one of us fired off. Check him out. Check her out. Freedom, you gotta give for what you take. Freedom, freedom. So, freedom is not necessarily being a sovereign individual that is surrounded and submersed themselves in the reality of people that love them and they love those people. And when we meet people for the first time, even from the first sentence, we begin to assign them a role as we take in said experience. Even in the first 5 minutes, the mind, the eyes, the brain, the ears, they're all firing off at their optimal, taking in information. Billions of bits of it per whatever seconds. And we already begin to assign these people that we just meet a role. And if you violate this role that I assign to you, it ain't gonna fly. Does not mean tolerate bad behavior, or simply you just in a cognitive dissonance of vibration. This is something else. I'm talking about assigning someone a role and being in control. And being on the receiving end of that stick, it's not fun, is it? Someone's not allowing you to be yourself. I get it. So now it becomes cognitive dissonance, or a choice simply to say, I'm just not interested in this experience, and take yourself somewhere else. But we want to stick around with said person or people. Why? Because I want this thing that I've assigned them a role of, I want them to give it to me. All right? So karma comes back a little while later and says, remember me? So freedom is not receiving an allowance or permission slip from people to allow you to feel like you can wiggle and move about like you need to. That's not what freedom is at all. You may call that freedom. I may call that freedom in conversation, but that's not what freedom is at all. Freedom is something you give away. If you want to experience people who no longer control you, allow your partners in life to be simply as they are. Even your partner, simply as they are. Well, but we are married and we are part. We've been together. Okay, I get it. But if you're sticking around because you want to control them to not be themselves, you controlling yourself with your mind, and you won't have freedom. So you see, freedom is not someone allowing you to do what you want to do. Freedom requires you to unshackle yourself from the monkey in the head. And as long as you feel squashed, shackled, you're going to in turn unconsciously do that to other people. So freedom is not about having people find a space of allowance for you to be yourself. When you don't give a flying squat about anything, you have freed yourself, Neo. I don't mean you don't care. It means you don't care. I just don't care. I don't care that if I have this cup. I just don't care about it versus, oh my God, I need to have this cup to drink my water. Well, if I get rid of the idea that I have to have this cup, I can always cup my hands and put it into a fountain and drink my water. But we bind ourselves with our mind this way. Freedom is something you give. You got to give in order to take. Otherwise, the entire wellspring would go dry. And your world becomes chapped like your lips and parched like your throat. And it will grab your throat and keep you shackled and choked. So freedom is about letting yourself off the hook, not allowing anyone else to let you off the hook, because it's those ideas of other people having their hooks in us is what binds us into the prison, into the jail. So freedom is not what we think we have in any said free country. That's not what freedom is. We may have other liberties and other freedoms in this comparison that others don't. But you are not free. Freedom means that. It doesn't mean I'm almost there. It means I'm almost free. Freedom means it's over. It's done. It's complete. I'm free. I'm liberated. I live in America and I'm free. You live in America and you practice some freedoms that you think you have. Some of the rules, the rule makers will tell you, you better not do. All these different levels of freedom. They should be important to you. They are very important to me and the world I live in. The land of the free. What is the land of the free? It's only the man that's free, or the woman, politically, sexually correct. A man and a woman. Freedom. I understand the beautiful hope of freedom. I live it. I love it. I support it. It's my life, our life. But what about the other side of the coin that needs attention as well? We only allow people to treat us the way we give them permission to. And sometimes they say, I don't want to play that game. And we push even harder to get them fired up, to get them in a situation so that when it's something that they do that they even agree with, that I shouldn't have done that. I got you. I fucking got you. Now, that role I assigned to you when I first met you is being prophetically fulfilled. It's another level of freedom entirely. You may have people in your life all around you who treat you with the respect that is your birthright. Fantastic. Please do the other, at least reflect on the other half to make sure not only are you in balance by having loving people around you, but make sure you're also in balance by being one of those people yourself to the fullest degree and the greatest capacity. Allow them to be their knuckle-headed, silly, folly, fanciful, ridiculous self. You can always say, I love you. I'm gonna see you soon. You can jet. It can be that easy. Now, whatever level of heartache you take with you in the divorcing of someone you have assigned a role to can go very easy. I was reminded that this day would come and it's playing out. I'm just going to let it go. I brought it upon myself. Or you can hurt in pain and grieve. Suffering is very slick. It's ingrained in us on a cellular level, a genetic level, a familial level, a cultural level. Suffering. Jesus suffered. He's on the cross and we still worship the cross. That lamb has been sacrificed over 2,000 years ago, and we must take it down from the old rugged cross. It's over. Freedom. See the difference? You're not just free because you live in a free state or a free country. That's not even your birthright. What you are surpasses that without any effort whatsoever. One second. Welcome to Center of Light, everybody. Tonight we're speaking about uprising, center of light uprising. Freedom equals fearlessness. I'm no longer afraid. I may die. I don't like the idea. But in no longer being afraid, you have died before the actual death that may happen that you have always been afraid of. Because in the releasing of the idea, a part of you have died and a part of you is now reborn as to why you're no longer afraid to said die. I'm free. So now the transition of who you are as a human in human consciousness, in the exiting of this body in this world into the next place, which is actually the first place, the transition is so much smoother. It's not like this, I black out, I come into a vortex, I'm going back to the heavenly realms. No, the gradation is so easy. You have prepared yourself not for the death, but everlasting life. That is what freedom is. It's fearlessness. Don't be afraid. What can happen? You can die. You're going to die anyway. So your best bet is to prepare your room, prepare your homecoming, prepare your bed, which one day you will lie in. Now, prepare it now. Well, Keith, doesn't it hasten its demise because I'm focusing on it? You're not focusing on it. You are preparing. You're making a covenant with your divinity so that when you go back to infinity, you will uncover an aspect of you that will blossom then. Why not blossom it now? Why not release that flower and become free? Don't worry. Let that person who's been trying to leave your relationship go. Say, not only can you go, here's $20 for gas. Go. In fact, when you're done, come back, let me meet your partner. I'll take you both out to dinner. I've done it in my past. It is so frickin' liberating. You're free. Why do we want to hold on to that? Oh my God, this hurts. Oh my God, this hurts. I understand immediate family and loss and grief. I understand all those words to describe the human condition or the human blessing even. Lessons, bridges, principles, laws, truths, ideas, possibilities. Here are some of the words for tonight that parallel with center of light, uprising. It's an uprising within you. Freedom equals fearlessness. Then I'm going to turn Shunyamurti onto you here shortly. So here's some words that will require, not only the understanding of these words, but the integration of what they actually are on a vibrational level. It's an idea. Here are these words. I do want to post a link to my new bestseller, Homecoming Crossing the Bridge to the Soul. And not many people know I did put out a children's book, Eden Sky Wonders Why, modeled after my then 6-year-old son. Interested, let me know. Links are in here. Hello, Ramona Scott. Thank you for your generous donation and support, Ramona. Blessings. I said hi to everyone. Let's keep moving. There are 12 people watching Facebook right now, probably even more, and you're not in the room. That's okay. If you would, just step in the room, only to exit, put an exclamation point. Something, say hi. I would love that. Engage. Here are the words that parallel with freedom. Fearlessness. You cannot become fearless nor free until you trust. Don't try to describe that or dictate it to yourself in your head. What trust really is, you already know from soul to bones. It's already integrated in your complex, your matrix. I have to trust before I can become fearless. Sit with it. Trust, I know what that is. Ooh, now that I think about it, that shit's scary. Exactly. You're not free yet. I'm not free yet. I am freer than I have been. Trust. You have to surrender. Hello, Darlene. You have to completely surrender. Trust and surrender are very, very close in vibration. That would be like the difference between blue and light blue, if you will, right? Trust and surrender are close, but not exactly the same. Trust is, I trust. I give it up. I trust. Surrender has a little more depth to it, a little more layer to it, which is, not only do I trust, I surrender. I fall. I surrender all of it. Not that I'm going to stand on my feet and trust that everything's okay. It doesn't matter because I've already surrendered deeper into the wellspring of the Holy Spirit, of truth, God, love, purpose, meaning, infinity. All that is good, all that means anything, all that cares, all that is powerful, all that simply just is and will always be. That's surrender. You have to let go in order to trust and surrender. You have to take your hands off of what you know to be safe and comfortable. And until you do, you will not feel any level of freedom. You have to let go. How do I let go? Well, look at the railing. You're still holding on. Okay. Well, Keith, can you pry my fingers off for me so eventually I'll be released of my grip and fall? No, I can't do that. Because that's only physical. This is beyond physical releasing. This is about transfigure yourself to a new place of being. In fact, it is being. It's not physicality. It's a state of being in yourself. That's why I said earlier, someone in a wheelchair can still stand up in an idea. There's an uprising that can happen to people who have been confined to a wheelchair. So trust, surrender, and letting go. 3 facets of the same idea, but they're all important in their own right. When you get those, you will understand what fearless actually is. I'm learning that as of today, when I had this inspiration come in and doing the little bit of work I've done to put this together, along with the Shunyamurti video I'm going to show you shortly. So we have trust, surrender, and let go. And you become fearless. Now you have the package in your hand. You have the key in your hand. And that key are those 3 components: surrender, let go, trust, surrender, let go. Now you're fearless. But that fearlessness sitting right there is not doing anything. It's sitting right there. Now you have to take action. Ya, na, action. Va, the backbone. You have to take action. And you take action, it looks like this. Sacrifice. You have to sacrifice as the Christ, as the teacher, and we are Christians or Buddhists, whatever. It's all the same teaching across the board. It takes sacrifice. You have to sacrifice the aspect of you that you are going to surrender and trust that it's going to all turn out okay, but you have to let go in order to be fearless. And your fearlessness is the sacrificing of that aspect of yourself that wants to control other people. Even trying to control them from trying to stop controlling you. We took it up another level. I don't want to control other people. And I don't want them to control me. And I'm going to do what I can to control them to stop controlling me, which is not them at that point in juncture in the first place. It's the mind that says, I'm letting you control me. And you always have the choice to get up and giddy up and get out and move to another space. They need the lesson as well as you do. The lesson that you are going to give them by getting up and getting out, you both need it. That's why it's happening in the first place. So trust, surrender, and let go creates a fearlessness. These are divine qualities, are they not? You think God has mistrust in himself? You think God doesn't know or literally exist in absolute cosmic, universal, stellar, galactic, planetary, human existence? You don't think he knows what surrender and trust and letting go is? But yet the Holy Spirit, the all of God, is fearless in universal fearlessness. And it's all about sacrifice, because he sent his only begotten son. That is not Jesus. You can take me out of context. That's your folly. So I'm not going to control you. I'm going to allow you the freedom to feel how you choose. God bless you. The only begotten son is not Jesus. It's Christ. God is the whole hand. Christ is the knuckle where all the expressions of the one creator expresses, and we are all the individuals. So the begotten son is also a begotten daughter. But son in our culture, or male in our culture, always leads the way. The father is the household provider, this kind of thing and so forth. That's how the hierarchy and its patriarchy has always been described. So you get the idea. So as Christ, all of us became an individual from the Christ through the tree of life, the tree of the Christ. That is the only begotten son / daughter. So likewise, in us to have the same freedom and liberation, once we have the freedom in our earthly experience, again, for the sake of this presentation, freedom is releasing of the earthly experience. To me, liberation is of a cosmic divine nature. Definition of freedom. Freedom from slavery, captivity, or any other form of arbitrary control. Not only against the man or the machine. Freedom from slavery. This could be self-induced slavery, captivity, or any other form of arbitrary control. Hello, Joe. Departure from rules or procedures. Freedom. As you, from homecoming, crossing the bridge to the soul. Departure from rules or procedures. Freedom. As you continue aligning yourself with God, you will need some tools to remove any ego weeds that still may be trying to stifle the growth of your spirit's fruit. Till that fertile ground thoroughly so that it can germinate the seeds of love and grow God in you. Like I said earlier, bless everyone, even those who are trying to control you. Let them try, let them do. Just say good, see you later. Bless everyone and doing exactly what they want, regardless. The liberation that happens inside when one can achieve this is truly God. This is the level of freedom it takes to get to liberation. We have achieved that somehow because we have incarnated in countries and land and cities and whatever that we feel that I'm grateful to live where I do because I have freedoms more so than people in whatever country. Count your blessings. How messed up is that logic? Everyone living where they are has been a choice. And everyone in said choice, no matter how it appears, we should all count our blessings. Because believing anything otherwise is not freedom. It's slavery. And maybe, just maybe, we are all in said experiences in the first place because we haven't gotten what we were taught in the last place. So we find ourselves here again. And there again, and where again? So freedom is not what we think. It's deeper than we can think. It's beyond thinking itself. Hello, Mary Dawn Payford on YouTube. Everyone, I did acknowledge you. Hello, beautiful, sexy human souls. So tonight we are speaking about center of light uprising. You can uprise against the man and the machine all you want, and I still do, and I have fun playing human. I feel some sort of venting and or release that happens, so I see it as therapeutic until I realize that the uprising in me has gone unconscious, and I'm really starting to get in the human game and start getting pissed off at people and calling them and judging and using people names like an ignoramus or whatever word that we can all come up with. Then I realized I just concreted myself into a prison. Ramona says trust, surrender, and let go equals fearless. You can bet your sweet bippage. My name is Keith Anthony Blanchard. Hanging out with my kitty cat. I just got her fixed. Wow. She was on fire. Tough, intense, runs around a lot. But she's subdued, and it was for her own good and our relationship. But she's happy. No signs of pain, trouble. Cross that bridge from slavery to freedom to liberation. No hesitation, just getting there. Do your thing. Gonna be right back, play a song. We're gonna go straight into some Shunyamurti. Tonight's is Center of Light Uprising. The phoenix in you is on fire. Whether you feel it, maybe you're numb to feeling. That's why you don't feel a simple uprising or burning, churning, turning, yearning in you. Either way, the fire is being stoked. That was actually the original name for this book. Stoking the fire within. The fire is being stoked. You can become free, or you can become choked. I'll see you shortly.
Remember that all things are possible. You must choose to be accountable, responsible, enough to believe, and open your heart to receive.
Welcome back to Center of Light Radio. Center of Light Online Radio. Color. We are in living color. There's lots of color in this house. I love my beautiful space with my beautiful little crystal right there, my little cat. When she sleeps, as of recently, say a month, when we sleep in the bed, take a nap during the day, I just pat the bed. She's on it like that. She cradles all the way up into the nape of my neck. And she melts me now. It's like, so I got her fixed. She's good to go. Got it treated for the year. Flea treatment. She's crashed on the bed. She allows me the freedom. She allows me the freedom to do what I do. But Keith, you can shut the door and let her. I don't want her to go out. I want to be with her. But she knows that when I light those candles, it's your turn. And she sits there waiting. 5 minutes before I'm done, she starts stretching. It's magical to watch. Tonight is Center of Light Uprising. I hope to God that what you want for yourself, that you get. Because I love you and I know what it feels like to be me in my shining moments. I hope there's an uprising in you. A hunger. You don't have to know what the hunger is, what it is you're wanting it to look like. You don't have to know what it's for. The hunger itself is the food. That's the freedom. Just recognizing and becoming aware, oh my God, I'm simply hungry. Pizza, drink, smoke, relationship, food, something beyond all that. You know what that is. Think about what hunger is. What does hunger feel like in you? I need something. Sometimes it's a wanting, and you know the difference. Because you know that when you watch that movie with your children or your best friend, you want to get a pizza, not because you're hungry, because food and pizza goes great together. That would be a wanting hunger. A needing hunger is you need some food or some water or some rest. And recognizing those as for what they are, you get to develop yourself to understand these tiers, these levels, these tiers, and these tiers as in levels, what they mean. And when you come to a conclusion of what they mean, you release yourself from the knowledge you have gleaned and you let that go and it becomes free again. It becomes free energy, able to be manipulated, transformed, molded, manipulated into something beautiful, powerful. Because of your said tier and tiers, you've gained another level. So freedom is beyond what you can think. And you will see freedom. He's going to model, exemplify what freedom is. We are going to listen to his words. We are going to watch his mouth moves as he utters these vibrational, sonic audio tones. Sounds like words, which they are, and they go into the brain, and the brain says, oh, with this letter, and this letter in this arrangement means this word. Okay, so that means this feeling and this thought, and your reaction to how the brain interprets it, and your mind says, well, you remember when you met this person many years ago? So all this is happening in all this ridiculous Godspeed level, and we come up with a conclusion. Conclusions are dangerous. They're fun, but they're dangerous. There should never be an end of a conclusion. Conclusion means the mind. I'm coming to an agreement with my mind that the mind is right and holds the key. The question seriously becomes, who is this I that is agreeing and following the slave master cracking whip of the mind? Who is that I that's following that? Why is the I following that? Shouldn't that be following the I? In other words, using your I as the master of your own destiny ship to navigate, and everybody else in the boat rows all at the same time, like the old Vikings boat. The whole ship is in motion together in harmony. Or you can let the slaves, don't take that out of context. You can, and I don't give a shit, because that's your experience, not mine. But we don't allow the slaves to govern the direction of the ship. The slaves meaning not people who are in bondage, because this presentation is about freedom, but those people who don't know via ignorance the best choice to make. Why would we want to follow anyone who is ignorant and does not know the best choice to make? So the question becomes, what would be the best choice to make? That which has in consideration for the whole, for the group, for the globe, for the galaxy, for the cosmos, all the way down to the cells, the body, the family, so forth and so on. Those who are aware of such spiritual dynamite should be leading the way. They are leading the way. Always have. There's no way that a spiritual teacher on any level cannot lead the way. They have always been leading the way, and they forever will. It's about those who choose to recognize the teachers of freedom to jump on board. Speaking of jump on board, Shunyamurti. So he's going to speak. It's going to tickle the hairs in your ears. Great. You're going to get some wonderful spiritual understanding nuggets. Fantastic. Watch him. You will see this freedom I speak about, what it is. He simply sits in it. Simply just sits in it. He's not in a hurry. He has no place to go. He doesn't have anything he's trying to achieve. Nothing up his sleeve. He's simply in the gate, sitting there, expressing to you via those words what it feels like to be him. Listen. Listen. It's beyond the words. Feel, see, free, be. Glee. C short, Lee.
To sustain life as a human community, we require fearless beings. And so all of the cultural rites and rituals of ancient and even up to the medieval time were focused on achieving fearlessness. Because if you do not have at least a core of people capable of functioning fearlessly, you will fall apart the moment there is an attack or an epidemic or a storm or some other adverse circumstance that will cause people to melt down into hysterical puddles of terror. And society cannot last if you have people like that running the show, which today we do. And so all the various rites of passage were there to help us get rid of our weaknesses and become true beings, true men, true women, capable of undergoing the ordeals that life entails. When people come to learn to meditate or say they have difficulty in meditating, they generally want some technique or some magic mantra or some fairy dust poured over them to help them quiet their mind. It doesn't work like that. The reason people can't meditate is fear. And to become a true meditator, one needs moral strength, because meditation is undergoing the great death. In the ancient and the classical world, one of the central practices was the ritual slaughter of the firstborn son of every family, but particularly the royal family. The son, not the daughter. And it was this practice that empowered the community to retain fearlessness. A shift happened in those biblical times with Abraham, where you remember he was told by God to sacrifice his son Isaac, and at the last minute God relented. Technically, that was the end of that age for that set of people. And from that moment on, they became inhabited by fear. And they also shifted the rite of passage of circumcision, which was the Brit Milah. This was the core covenantal act, from taking place just before puberty to taking place 8 days after birth, where it loses all of its significance and is simply an infantile trauma that creates proto-affects later in life, but has no benefit in terms of a rite of passage. It's not that Isaac should have been slaughtered, and I'm not recommending the human sacrifice. But the point of it was, if you're willing to kill that which you value most, which was the son, the daughters they didn't need to kill because they didn't value the daughters so much, but the one that you would have put all of your love into, that you would have turned into a spoiled brat if he had lived, and that you would have identified with, and you would have enjoyed vicariously remaining a spoiled brat while taking care of him, which is the dysfunctional family system in a nutshell today, could not take place because of that sacrifice. And all of the children who were born after that, it didn't matter, because they had gone through the mourning of that great loss. They treated the other children with more neutrality, so there would not be an overvaluation of the child. This must be understood by us psychologically, that if we are going to meditate, it requires, before anything else, the slaughter of your inner child. The sacrifice of the spoiled brat who makes demands, who wants jouissance, who wants to get everything he wants and doesn't care about anyone else. The narcissistic child. The child who still wants the breast of the mother and to lie in the mother's bed and to not go to school and to not grow up. The Peter Pan. If you don't kill off that child, you won't get anywhere in your spiritual development. Don't even bother to try to meditate. That has to be the initial act, your initiation into the discovery of who you are is the killing off of that child signifier and image that represents the site of your weakness. And your attachment and dependency on others. And your fear of life as much as fear of death. And if you don't kill it off, you're always going to be, no matter how old you get, a child afraid of the dark. A child afraid of letting go of mommy. A child afraid of the unknown, afraid of the infinite. afraid of yourself. But that act cannot even happen initially until there is an adult there able to kill the child and take over, and who can subsume into itself the qualities of beauty and creativity and innocence of the child. There is goodness in the child, but the child in its initial natural form cannot allow those goodness qualities to emerge because they're covered over by its own fear. And so the other archetype that you find in all of the ancient and classical societies is the worship of the archetype of the divine child. You even read it in Nietzsche. He says there are 3 transformational phases to a human life. First, you become a camel and go out in the desert full of all the baggage of your society, and you resolve all of its neurotic issues, and you deal with that, and you go out there fasting without any water, and you realize that you can make it on your own. And then the camel transforms into a lion and roars, and unafraid can now express its truth that is not dependent on society's indoctrinations anymore. And only then, after it's gone through the lion phase, it metamorphoses into a child, a divine child. But that divine child can only be born after the original natural child image has died and been transformed through all of these processes of growth and inner development. And then you will become pregnant and give birth to the divine child. That's the meaning of the virgin birth of Christ, or of Buddha, or of Krishna, or of so many others. The virgin birth is an archetype that is throughout the world. It's not something the Christians have a monopoly on. It was there with Isis and Osiris. These things must not be taken historically, but archetypally. And so it is an ordeal of inner truth that must be faced, in which you do not indulge the weaknesses of the child's psychology and put an end to that sad phase of life that has caused all of the neurotic suffering of the soul. And it doesn't matter whether you had a happy childhood or a traumatic childhood or a mixture of both. The fact of holding on to that trauma is still a sign of the weakness and fear of growing up. Pay the bill. You faced traumas in childhood, so be it. You deserved it. It's your karma. Stop being a victim. Accept it. That's life. Stop trying to put the blame on others. They may have deserved the blame for doing it. Accept that, but then forgive. Forgive and go on to higher things rather than staying trapped in victimhood or in wanting to rescue the other, who is your own inner child, from their traumas, and in proxy trying to save yourself from those witch parents, those ogres, those monsters that now get demonized as enemies out there in the world. That's what creates all our wars, all our militarism. It's done by people who have never killed their own inner child and project the demon parents onto the Muslims or the communists or whoever, and then righteously can kill them off. or the other way around. The Islamists obviously do the same if they're the fanatic variety, but that fanaticism comes out of fear, doesn't come out of power. And so, to gain real power, we must eliminate the inner sense of powerlessness and victimhood, as well as the demand to be taken care of. It's then that the mind has the capacity to become silent, because it's the child's rage and the child's desires and demands and the child's temper tantrums that are interfering with meditation. It's even the child's hopes. And that's why at the beginning of all classical epics, like Dante's Inferno, to go into the Inferno, which is the first stage of facing the shadow, the sign is written, "Abandon all hope, ye who enter here." Because hope is childish. It's wishing for things to be different and better, rather than making them better. We have to give up wishing and hoping and claim the power to accept things as they really are and make them better by making the self into its true essence, without alloy, without pollution, without contamination, without loss of self into the desire of approval by the other. Without this psychological step, nothing further can be done. If you don't kill off the child first, you can't even face the real shadow. You can't enter the labyrinth and get to the Minotaur, let alone deal with all of those other stages that have to be dealt with before you get to Paradiso. We live in a society today that worships that child instead of killing it. It encourages not only the spoiling of the child, but the hypersexualization of the child, which actually steals its childhood away, but creates an artificial, premature adulthood. Because the parents are still children, they want their children to be their friends rather than their children whom they can teach and raise. And they make their children into confidants, if not incestuous lovers. And that causes the child to falsely believe that they are already adults and reject adulthood as being phony, and reject ever growing up and losing rights they should never have been granted in the first place. And so if we want to discover our real self, we must let go of the past and the images that are tied to the past and its enjoyments during that time when we were still irresponsible, so that we can become responsible now for our own lives and live intelligent lives, mature lives, lives that are meaningful and reach fulfillment rather than devastation and despair. Many lives today end up in suicide because the soul had not killed off its inner child. At a moment of weakness and adversity, it could not face its own inner conflicts. And it copped out through physical death. And there are people who want to die on the battlefield and think that's some glorious achievement, or die as martyrs to others because they cannot face the requirement of becoming true to the self. They'll even die for causes they don't even believe in order to have the appearance of being a hero rather than becoming real heroes. So spirituality is something very serious. It's not a game. It's not a hobby. It's not something you do on weekends. It's not just a meditation retreat. It's about self-transformation. And if you're just going to play at that game as something else that's a childish activity, it will get you nowhere.
I'm at a loss for words, and thank God. That is like, again, as I said in a few presentations, my cat, Crystal, she's been sleeping all night. When I light these candles, she goes out. 5 minutes, because it's 5 minutes-ish, give or take, before I'm done. Thank you for being here. She starts stretching. Now she's licking herself and stretching and moving about, knowing that I'm going to tend to her. That's just... And it could go from an hour to hour 15, hour 10, hour 30, whatever. She knows exactly when to do it. That's freedom. So Shunyamurti described, exemplified just simply by him being who he is, the magic of who we all are. If you understood that on any level, watching him, you've understood what freedom is, because he is truly this personification of that. So on my exit, I'm going to play something that took me 2 hours. I did a presentation the other night and a meditation as well in that about The Matrix, the movie The Matrix. That was the theme kind of idea. But I put this trailer together. So I'm going to exit in a fun way, which also describes tonight's presentation, which is Center of Light Uprising. The uprising is in you. You can go uprising against the man or the machine. Ultimately, it comes back to you because you're the one rising up inside to go up against the man or the machine. Center of Light Uprising. Freedom equals fearlessness. Trust, surrender, letting go. That is fearlessness. Sacrifice is what truly engages it. I love the movie The Matrix, my favorite movie, so we're going to exit with something fun. I'll be seeing you soon. Freedom. It doesn't look like what you think, what any of us think, because if we saw it for what it is, we would have it. Imagine all the people living life in peace. Yoo-hoo. I'll see you soon. Your love beyond measure. Enjoy. You can't enjoy because I deleted it today. Peace, love, light. I will see you soon. Your love beyond measure. Out of here.